Hello and welcome to the Office of Community Services pre-recorded webinar on closeout activities for the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program, or LIHWAP. A copy of these slides will be made available on the LIHWAP website, and this recorded video will remain online for you to reference as you wind down your LIHWAP. Today's recording will cover some different definitions related to closeout, important dates, potential activities you and your staff may want to undertake during the final months of program operations, and reporting requirements for final, annual, quarterly, and financial reports. This webinar will also differentiate between grant recipients who requested and were approved for a no-cost extension, or NCE, and those who did not. If not otherwise indicated, dates and requirements will apply to all LIHWAP grant recipients, regardless of whether they have an NCE in place or not. First, some important definitions relevant for closeout. Throughout this webinar, we will refer to the LIHWAP project period and closeout period. The project period, which you may also hear called the obligation period, performance period, is the time during which you, as the grant recipient, may incur new obligations to carry out the work authorized under your LIHWAP award. The closeout period is the 90-day period after the end of the project period. During the closeout period, grant recipients should conduct regular closeout activities, such as financial reconciliation, data collection, and other administrative activities. No new obligations may occur during the closeout period, only the expenditure of previously obligated funds. Sub-grant recipients, such as community action agencies, must follow these same deadlines. Earlier this year, OCS published Action Transmittal 2023-07, communicating an optional 6-month no-cost extension for the LIHWAP obligation and liquidation deadlines. This webinar will differentiate between grant recipients who requested and were approved for a no-cost extension, referred to as an NCE, and grant recipients without an NCE. If not otherwise indicated, dates and requirements will apply to all LIHWAP grant recipients, regardless of whether they have an NCE in place or not. Grant recipients that requested and were approved for an NCE will receive an updated Notice of Grant Award letter no later than September 30th, 2023. The new NOA will reflect a project period end date of March 31st, 2024. Now, here are some dates you may want to make note of for LIHWAP closeout. For LIHWAP grant recipients who do not have a no-cost extension in place, the following dates are in effect. The LIHWAP project period will end on September 30th, 2023, and after that time, no more financial obligations can take place. LIHWAP applications must stop being accepted if they had not already prior to that date. From October 1st through December 31st, 2023, financial expenditures can continue in order to liquidate previously obligated funds. Again, no new obligations can occur after September 30th. Later in this presentation, we will cover how to maintain access to the Payment Management System, or PMS, to draw down previously obligated administrative funds after December 31st, should you need to do so for any reason. The final LIHWAP annual report for fiscal year 2023, covering the period of October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023, will be due to OCS by February 29th, 2024. For LIHWAP grant recipients who do have a no-cost extension in place, the following dates are in effect. The LIHWAP project period will end on March 31st, 2024, and after that time, no more financial obligations can take place. LIHWAP applications must stop being accepted if they had not already prior to that date. From April 1st through June 30th, 2024, financial expenditures can continue in order to liquidate previously obligated funds. Again, no new obligations can occur after March 31st. As for grant recipients without an NCE, we will later cover how to maintain access to the Payment Management System, or PMS, to draw down previously obligated administrative funds after June 30th, should you need to do so for any reason. The final LIHWAP annual report for fiscal year 2023, covering the period of October 1st, 2022 through March 31st, 2024, will be due to OCS by July 31st, 2024. Please note that this final annual report will cover a period of more than 12 months. There will not be a separate annual report for the 6 months of implementation extended into fiscal year 2024. Now we will discuss some potential activities you may wish to undertake during the LIHWAP closeout period. During the liquidation period, the dates of which were mentioned in the previous section for LIHWAP grant recipients with or without an NCE, grant recipients may wish to carry out any or all of the following activities. You may expend previously obligated funds during the liquidation period. For example, to pay out benefits for a household application that was processed and approved prior to the end of the project period, but had not yet been paid to the eligible household's water service provider on their behalf. You may also reconcile benefit payments which had previously been paid out on behalf of an eligible household, but were returned to you by the water service provider after the end of the project period. This may happen, for example, if a household moves or otherwise terminates their water service with that provider. In this case, if you are able to contact the household and obtain updated water account information, those previously obligated funds can be sent to the household new account on their behalf. Finally, you may wish to request an extension for access to LIHWAP funds in PMS in order to expend administrative funds after the liquidation period has ended. This may be necessary in order to have staff complete final reporting requirements that are due 30 days after the liquidation deadline, and other tasks. In order to request an extension of PMS access, the Office of Grants Management requests that LIHWAP grant recipients contact their grants management specialist at least 15 days prior to their liquidation deadline for LIHWAP funds. Those dates were previously covered in the first section of this webinar. A request to OGM should include the grant number or numbers, which can be found on LIHWAP Notice of Award letters, a reason for the need to extend access, how much funding has been obligated but remains unliquidated, and the anticipated timeframe for liquidating those funds and submitting the final Federal Financial Report, or FFR, to OGM. You will likely wish to submit invoices, contract agreements, and internal financial documents to OGM as justification and documentation for your request. For LIHWAP, the Grants Management Specialist is Ms. Angel Chen, whose contact information is included on this slide. As a reminder, these slides are available for download on the LIHWAP website. Once again, this may be necessary to complete financial reports that are due after the liquidation deadline and result in the need to incur further administrative costs for salaries and other expenses, as well as for other final reports. Finally, let's cover reporting requirements for LIHWAP during the end of your program. All LIHWAP grant recipients, regardless of whether they have an approved NCE or not, will be required to submit a LIHWAP annual report for fiscal year 2023 and a federal financial report for fiscal year 2023. The FFR is due to OGM through PMS and is due on December 30th, 2023. The due date for the annual report depends on whether you have an NCE or not. For grant recipients without an NCE, it is due on February 29th, 2024. For grant recipients with an NCE, it is due on July 31st, 2024. Additionally, LIHWAP grant recipients with an approved NCE are required to submit 2 quarterly reports to OCS for fiscal year 2024, as well as an additional FFR in July of 2024. For all LIHWAP grant recipients, a recorded training video covering the annual report is available online. A link to that video is included here. OCS would like to highlight that some parts of the report, which may have been optional for fiscal year 2022, are required for fiscal year 2023. These differences have been highlighted previously by OCS, and grant recipients were first made aware of these requirements in 2022 ahead of the fiscal year 2022 annual report due date. These changes are all for Module 2, the household report. Race and ethnicity data, which was optional in fiscal year 2022, is required for the fiscal year 2023 annual report in Section 5, Parts A and B, and in Section 8. Gender data is required for fiscal year 2023 in Section 6 and 9. And housing type data is required for fiscal year 2023 in Section 7. These sections have not been modified since the fiscal year 2022 report. The only change is that this data is no longer optional and is now required by OCS. This pre-recorded webinar can be supplemented by resources previously released by OCS for LIHWAP. LIHWAP Information Memorandum 2023-01 covers frequently asked questions about deadlines and closeout activities, specifically for grant recipients without an NCE. LIHWAP Action Transmittal 2023-07 covers topics related to the optional no-cost extension, which some grant recipients have requested and been approved for. Other resources may continue to be published and sent out to LIHWAP grant recipients as necessary. This presentation, in addition to this video, is available on the LIHWAP website. Thank you for watching this webinar about LIHWAP closeout activities. Should you have any questions about this material or other topics related to LIHWAP, please contact your LIHWAP program specialist. Please note, depending on when this video is being viewed, your assigned program specialist may have changed due to staffing modifications as LIHWAP winds down. If you are unsure of who to contact for LIHWAP questions, please email liwap@acf.hhs.gov and someone will be able to assist you. Thank you.